Brightest blessings, everyone. Psychic medium Elizabeth Grove, the Paranormal Priestess. Welcome to the Paranormal Priestess YouTube channel, straight from the spirit chair every Sunday. And thank you so much for being here. Perhaps you were referred. Perhaps this just came up in your feed and you decided to click on it. Maybe you found me in a group. However you found me, I definitely recognize that there's no coincidence in it, and I appreciate that you're here. My name is Elizabeth. I am a divine channeler, a psychic medium, a spirit extractor specialist, and I also happen to be a divine twin flame on the path to reunion. I appreciate all of you who have been just sharing your love, your comments, your feedback. Thank you so, so much. You mean the world to me, and so many of you have become clients, and I've been able to assist in personal sessions, personal reading sessions, being able to directly channel and directly bring through communication from the angelics, from your spiritual guides, and for some from your ancestors as well. It's been just really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to be able to help you to have that clarity, that confidence, to help you to get through your healing and to transform. It's amazing. So proud of my clients. I really, really am. If you do know anyone who is looking for authentic spirit communication, I really do consider myself overall as a spirit communicator. I am here, and you can go to the paranormalpriestess.com. You can refer them there. And the only thing that I do is check in with my spiritual team just to make sure that I would be the correct reader for someone. I definitely feel like that's very important, and I'm not about collecting a payment if I'm not going to be someone who is in the highest good for you. So I always check in with that. But I am able to do psychic medium work, bringing in loved ones from the other side, ancestors, you know, those who have gone through losses. It's very difficult, and they're looking for that closure, for that healing, and to even understand that their loved ones are alive and well on the other side and very much still a part of their lives, understanding, you know, that those worlds are always connected. I love doing that work. I'm here to bring through the very direct messages from the angelics, from archangels, from your spiritual team in general, which includes your guides, and I'm here for that. The work that I do is not only for twin flames, although so many of my clients are twin flames because I'm a twin flame myself, but I am able to do communication sessions, spirit communication sessions for those who are not on the twin flame journey. So if that's something that rings a bell for you, if you know somebody, definitely refer them over to my site, theparanormalpriestess.com. You can refer them to this channel so they can find out more about me this way also. And that would be wonderful. I'm going to be giving a message here that is about, it's full moon. It's happy full moon, everyone. It's the blood moon. So this message is going to be specifically for full moon and the energies that are going on now, and specifically for those who are on twin flame journey paths. This is going to resonate a lot with you, but even if you're not, there might be some things in here that will help confirm for you. So with the blood moon, I always consider, now this is the time of the darkness, the time of shadows, the time of Halloween, Samhain for those who are in the northern hemisphere. If you are in the southern hemisphere, it is the opposite. So it's more of the Beltane time and May Day and fertility and the beginnings and passion and all that type of thing. Although we are having a lot of passion energies that are going on cosmically this month. But for those in the northern hemisphere, it is about going in for reflection, and really listening in to spirit. So I really want to draw attention to some of the key things that are going on with this full moon. And as always, you know, let me know through the comments if you are experiencing a lot of the same things. Also, I love when you guys are sending me your synchronicities with the videos. Of course, I get synchronicities of the biz, and speaking of synchronicities, they have been, like I usually say, but it's always true, they have been off the charts. And what I have to say is, what I've been finding coming out a lot as far as synchronicities, I've been getting a lot of 999 and 777. A lot of that. 777, those sevens, it's all about letting us know that we are on the correct path, that everything is in alignment. 7 is a magical number, the 7 planets. So magical manifesting, everything is manifesting in the correct way. I mean, getting that. And then nines are all about completion. Nines were very sacred to the Celts. So what I do have to say, and I wrote some notes here in case I somehow forget something. I like to make sure that I have my notes here. But I have to say that for this full moon, there is so much about endings, ending cycles, ending karma cycles, endings, relationship endings. This can definitely be referring to karmic partnerships for many. But endings also in general, ending of phases. And so we are going to be stepping into those new beginnings. But there's definitely the 999 and winding down and ending things that no longer serve. The lessons have been learned. The growth has happened there. And now it's time to actually move on, move forward. And I don't get that movement forward has happened quite for everyone yet, but it's the door closing on very big things. And for some of you, I'm getting like that there were big decisions that had to be made. For some, maybe that it was painful decisions, whether it's the ending of a relationship that's just not resonating any longer, it's not fulfilling you, it's not creating growth anymore because that karma has been balanced, whether it's leaving a 3D job or leaving a pattern or a belief or an attitude that you have been in. So ending a state of self. And that's really important too. But a lot of endings that are going to serve in bringing you guys into the next phase. Yeah, I do get beliefs and patterns that have been worked through and completed from childhood. Now, I know that if you resonate with the Divine Feminine, that you've been working a lot with the sacral chakra. This has been coming up in reading sessions. And for twin flames, it's always about working as an energetic unit because there's no separation. No separation whatsoever. And so if you are working on those traumas, those childhood issues, patterns, beliefs that have been passed down, it's the same thing with your masculine. And I have to say that for this full moon, there's a lot of being able to complete that work. And there's just this wonderful feeling of being liberated, that you've gotten through it, that it's done, that you put the pieces together in terms of how those childhood patterns, whether it's been abandonment for you, neglect, feeling rejected, whatever those limitations have been from a child, and being able to put those pieces together on how that's actually affected your partnerships. There's a lot of realizations for this full moon here, and finally the ability to have clarity on that and to make very important decisions, life-changing decisions, as a matter of fact, not easy ones, but big ones. But this is because the decisions are made because you've done the work. And I want Divine Feminine to realize that Divine Masculines have been doing the work. And so much has to do with the fact that your leading energy and what you have done for yourself, the transitions that you've made, delving into that work and really staying committed to it, committed to the connection, committed to yourself, committed to the love, and not giving up, even at times when you felt like perhaps you should, or you wanted to, or you didn't know what was going on in the physical. Maybe some of you don't know what's going on in the physical. And I have to say, for this full moon, there's a lot of what's happening behind the scenes that's so very important. And the closure, the decision making, the endings are a lot of what's highlighted here behind closed doors, but I'm quite sure that so many of you feminine, you realize that there's been an ending or endings, both for yourself and for your masculine. You're feeling it inside. And if I had to drive something really, really home with this full moon, it's the fact that the connection within, the divine connection, that connection with your beloved, taking that in and being able to cultivate that love, embrace it, experience it daily without staying attached to any outcomes, without looking for any proof outside of you, whether it be a phone call, whether it be a text, whether it be a tweet, whether it be a Facebook post, whether it be an Instagram photo, whatever it is. So many of you feminine are realizing that you don't resonate with the need any longer. You don't. And that's because, feminine, you don't resonate with false separation any longer. You don't resonate with that. You don't have those fears of neediness. You do not have those obsessive thoughts any longer. You worked through that. You're realizing that there's nothing that you need outside of yourself and those very real connections that already exist within. The connection with your own higher self, which is very, very strong, especially with this full moon, very strong. The connection with Source is already within. And that connection with the other part of your soul is already within. And you're realizing that it's there. And it's bringing you peace. It's finally bringing you peace. And that's a beautiful thing. The peace, the strength, embodying the union. Divine Feminines, you are doing a fantastic job with allowing your higher self to lead the way. Amazing. That anchoring of the higher self. So Feminines, you are standing within, and that alchemical union within is so strong. And as you continually give it love, as you honor it day in and day out, affirming that union, as you continually surrender, Divine Feminine, and stay very detached, what you are doing is you are manifesting this union without having to force it, without having it to be, you are not accepting that pain any longer. That's what I'm getting with this full moon, Feminine. You are not accepting any toxicity at all. You're standing strong in your light and recognizing that as you detach and you surrender and you stay strong in your light and you stay strong with all of those connections within, you're realizing now that's the only way of pulling this all together. And you are. Divine Masculines are, wow, huge realizations this full moon. They're feeling the pull towards the feminine very, very strongly. And this has a lot to do with, of course, we have the divine portals, so the full moon portal, all of these portals, the solstices, the new moons, the retrogrades, all of these things are helping out with the bigger divine plan of what's happening with the earth, with the ascension. But Feminine, you are realizing that you are a lot more helpful by standing in your light and not needing anything outside of yourself. And you're realizing how much that's helping your masculine, because you are picking up from your masculine so many of the changes, the transitioning that's going on now. Many of the masculines are going through the dark night of the soul. There is more than one. It's not always that it's one dark night of the soul and that's it. So we go through different ones. But you're realizing that the Divine Masculine is doing the work, because you're picking up a lot of that. And so there's a lot of emotions going on, and I was talking about a lot of that with the October messages, emotional highs, emotional lows as well, a lot of emotions. And It's really good because, even though it can be a roller coaster, and I think that, with this full moon, it's very important to stay steady and to make sure you're staying very strong in your heart and not allowing your ego to tip the scales. But feeling is the key to what's happening here on the planet. It's the key to accelerating our growth, to understand the connection to all, the connection to ourselves, the connection to Source, the connection to our beloveds. It's about feeling. It's not about what's happening from the mental space. So the feeling, the connections being felt, very strongly from both ends, divine masculine and the divine feminine. And that's good because that's getting everyone to really connect to what's happening within. And that's going to cut through a lot of the BS, and it has for many. And because of just everything, how the path has been accelerated and the divine feminine energy really leading the way here. And remember, it's not one above the other. It's not about that at all. It's not about, oh, well, the feminine knows how to do all this, and the feminine is just a lot stronger and better and smarter and more spiritual than the masculine. Not at all. That's not equal, and it's certainly not unconditional love. It's not an unconditional love way of approaching this connection. It's just that a lot of the divine feminine have been awakened first and have been doing this in a very proactive way, and the masculines, they're going through their ascension process in a different type of way. So it's about accepting the differences there, embracing it and not making comparisons. Because remember, comparisons are separation, okay? Judgments, anything like that. So, the feminine, you really have helped the divine masculine figure out a lot of things. You've inspired them. You've helped them to finally get to the point where they're having these closures take place. They're having these endings take place. And so feeling it within is all you need, feminine. You don't need that outside physical proof. When the connection is ready to be manifested, and what you're doing right now, I want the feminine to know that what you're doing right now is, it's the way. It's the way to help everything, honestly. It's in the highest good. The detachment, the surrendering, having faith and trust, and consistently being willing to give your compassion over to your masculine, your support, urging them on, celebrating, when they have achieved for themselves, all of that. It's definitely helping to pull things together and to manifest this connection and not setting up resistance. And I do get that this full moon, that so much of the resistance isn't there any longer, and that's fantastic. The masculines are being driven very hard behind the scenes. That's what I'm getting as well for full moon, driven very hard. So that means that so much is coming up for them in such a short period of time. Now, the feminine have been going through a lot of their healing for a while now. A lot of it, of course, has been painful, been a roller coaster ride, very difficult to get through. And those highs and lows have been, wow, it's been hard. And if you're watching this, you know. But now, as far as where we are with our growth, where we are with this journey, as we are heading into the very tail end of the year, the highs and lows, or the ups and downs, and the triggers that are there, you're going to find that the pendulum is not swinging as severely, and these highs and lows are over rather quickly. The triggers and what's coming up emotionally, there's not as much left very quickly. So even if you have a couple hours of getting into a very low vibration, falling back into fear and distrust, you're getting through it again very quickly. And so the things that also the divine masculine are going through, since you guys are a unit, they're getting through very quickly. So a lot of their beliefs, patterns, false identities, a lot of not being enough, self-confidence, self-worth, all of these things that have added up from really basically the ancestral line. Now, of course, this is the time of the ancestors. It's the time to honor the ancestors. So it's certainly nothing against the ancestors and our tribal connections, because depending on your ancestors and where they have originated in the world, many of us have tribal connections, a lot of old world countries and things, and old traditions and things. When we are healing things that have been passed down to us from our parents, it really comes from our grandparents, our great-grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, and so on and so forth. And with twin flames, we are not carrying these ancestral line limited beliefs any longer, or these tribal beliefs. We are not carrying it. So although we are honoring our ancestors, and we are respectful of our ancestors, of course. It's very important to respect your ancestors and where you've come from. But for our ancestors, what they do want, and so many of the ancestors are actually making their selves very known to you. I'm getting that the ancestors are assisting with twin flame reunion. Your beloved side, your side, you have helpers. But the ancestors they don't want us repeating their patterns. They want better for us. They really, really do. They recognize that. They have a higher understanding of that. And so for those of you who are on divine paths, so much of this work is almost complete, and for some, there have been completions, certain closures with that, but specifically with that, with ancestral line, with childhood trauma, and how that's affected romantic partnerships. And that's great. That's such a win there. And that's why, if you are still having, say, you're feminine, you have a masculine who is still in a karmic partnership, perhaps you're still in a karmic partnership, and you're feeling the ending of that, it's time, because the lessons of growth have been learned, the karma has been balanced. And so that is a celebration there, even though there are tears for many of you with this, and there are difficult emotions with having these partnerships end, and there's obligations connected to it as well. Some have families, children, all of that are connected to that. So not all endings, of course, are going to be easy and just clean cut. However, those strong endings it's such a pivotal point now with this full moon. A pivotal point. A turning point where the doors are closing and we're having new doors that are opening, which are pushing this path along, where it is more able to be manifested in the physical reality from everything you've achieved on the inner levels. So I definitely want to impress that upon all of you as far as this full moon. The owl energy, I've mentioned the owl energy before, and I saw the owl again last night. It's about what's hidden, that's coming to the surface, secrets, things that you may not realize. And so it's very important to stay open, especially if you're the more awakened one on the journey. Perhaps you're the divine feminine who's more awakened on this journey. It's not always set in stone with that, but usually. But stay very, very open to what's unfolding. And be willing to really listen. I can tell you this, divine masculines, they are truly listening now, where they haven't in the past. They're listening to their higher selves. They're listening to spirit. They're going within. They're tapping into what they are feeling. And they're finding the truth there. And with that truth, once it's found, it cannot be lost. And they're feeling that truth very, very strongly. And then they are making those decisions based on that. Some of them have already made those decisions, as I had said, and some are just about to. But it's all about really paying attention to what's going on within, and it's definitely indicated that so much of the work has been done. And feminine, you may not realize that the masculines have been doing the work and have been going within and has been very quiet for you, and you have been getting that proof, and some of you have been falling into the worry and falling into the mistrust of whether or not this is true any longer, or whether or not you're a twin any longer, whether or not he's your twin or she's your twin, and maybe this is, what is this for? Maybe I didn't really know. And you know what? It all points to the fact that you have come to a very high consciousness place as you're shifting from the 4D to 4.5 and beginning to integrate the 5D. And the thing is that 5D integration consciously is all about not needing anything outside of you, not having those obsessive thoughts that you've been so used to having, not having to ghost somebody, not having to find out, constantly have to find out what's going on with them. So it feels very strange for you, Divine Feminine, to feel so peaceful and complete within, to the point where some of you are mistaking it and thinking that perhaps there's something wrong. Perhaps this is not a twin flame. Perhaps the journey is over, and it's quite the opposite. Again, we're talking about nines and completion. There's been something really achieved for you, and there's been an ending of your struggles and your fear-based thoughts and doubts and worries. And that's a really great thing. And you're now in this powerful place, Divine Feminine, within your light. You're standing within your light, where it just feels strange. It's unfamiliar territory, in which it is unfamiliar because it's new. And you've achieved it. You've achieved it. So good for you for staying committed, for picking yourself back up, and for working through all of those patterns and issues and everything that's been coming up, and transmuting energy. Definitely, we are realizing now that we have changed in huge ways, and that's great. Yeah, those are really the messages that I wanted to drive home, the ones that I have not only received, but have been experiencing and receiving. Proof. Okay, well, the proof that I've been receiving is the proof that I've been referring to within this message, is that I am getting all that proof from the inside. No longer looking for that proof on social media. No longer feeling any anxiety or any worry or timing anything, but really trusting that proof is the experience, what I'm receiving from the dreams, from the heart-based telepathy, to the mental telepathy, to all of that. So definitely don't discard any of it, don't debunk any of it. Experiencing this beautiful connection and union within, that absolutely is happening now, and that is opening the doors to manifesting this in the physical, where I know many of you desire that, but now for this full moon, it's really about not, the desire is there, but it's not about the worry, it's not about the staying attached to anything specifically. It's just allowing, accepting everything, and that's the beauty of it. The last thing I wanted to just add to, this may resonate with some of you, it may not resonate with some others, but there are children that are coming through in spirit that are meant to be your children, coming from a twin flame union in the physical. And those children are actually there as guides that are helping out this reunion. And that's a beautiful thing. There are also, ancestors, of course, that are helping out. But we have some soulmate guides who are also assisting too. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of help and there's a lot of support on both sides, on earth, in spirit, and some higher selves that are assisting who are alive. So there's a lot of that. So stay really open, especially for those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of year, about the spirits who are actually letting you know that they know about this loving connection, this dynamic, and that they are there supporting in ways in which they are allowed to, because of course there are rules, but even like your grandparents and your beloved's grandparents and children that are meant to be born and aren't born yet in the physical, are helping, and they're sending messages to help with the processes. And that's pretty amazing. And so there's definitely nothing to worry about in terms of how this is going to happen. It will be orchestrated, and it will be within perfect divine timing. But we've always talked about that, but there was always those worries that were underneath, regardless. And now when we talk about orchestration and divine timing, we are really at peace. It's not like we're trying to tell ourselves that to try to calm ourselves down, or try to force that, but it's not processing. It hasn't processed. We haven't integrated it. Basically, we've integrated that now. That you're in total acceptance of whatever is meant to be. So I hope that these messages have resonated with you. Thank you so much for listening. Happy full moon, blood moon, ancestor moon, hunter moon. And don't forget to really just tune in to what's happening within you. And that truth that's there is what's going to be your guiding light. That's for yourself as well as for your counterpart. You cannot go wrong with that. I love you guys. Remember, from the heart of the darkness is born the light. Brightest blessings. Take care, and I will see you all next week.